Hey guys, my name is Logan Shinholster, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Contractor Growth Network, which doesn't sound exactly the same as Contractor Sales Academy, but we actually, the two companies, work together on a lot of things. So don't mind the name, definitely watch the content because it's the exact same message. I hope you like it. Check it out. What's up, everyone? Today we're talking about actually one of my favorite books called Persuasion, the Power of Influence, and we're going to talk about all 6 persuasion tactics, if you will, and walk you through how can you actually use this in your own life to not only get people to side with you, but also grow your business tactfully. Straight up, it's cool. Check it out. Welcome back, everybody, to Contractor Growth Network. I'm Logan.
And this is Alex.
And today we're talking all about, there's a book, and it's called by Robert Cialdini. It's an old school, like 1980s book, and it's all about persuasion and using persuasive tools. And we're going to talk about the book. There's 6 different persuasive ideas or persuasive tactics or skills, if you will. You know, like
Principles.
Principles, that's what it is. Principles of persuasion that makes us humans buy shit. And what we want to do is I absolutely love this book, walk through the different principles, all 6 of them, and then talk about how can you actually implement this in your business today. We'll go through some examples of them and then kind of talk about what we're doing for our clients. And that way you can just kind of take it, put it in your own business, and see it work for you. Is that cool?
That's cool with me.
All right, perfect. So again, this is an old school book called Persuasion, the Power of Influence by Robert Cialdini. If you want to actually read it or listen to it, I would highly suggest it. Candidly, the examples that he uses are a bit older because it was written in the 80s, but all the stuff is still super relevant today, and it's cool stuff. I mean, it doesn't...
No, yeah, like the example he used in the article was like an elevator, like the like an old-timey elevator, like people looking around at you like do what you do in the back of the elevator. It was one of those examples. So I mean, it's still applicable today, but now it's a little bit more updated with the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Situation, but still, you can take what it will.
And we use all these all the time with advertising and marketing. So we'll talk about exactly what we do. So the very first one is going to be reciprocity. So the idea of reciprocity is pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to give in order to receive. And now, if you notice, I just gave that in that specific order. So you give first, then you receive. And a lot of times, this is a big Gary Vaynerchuk thing, is he says, don't give and then, expect to bring it, have somebody pay you back. It's more you give and then you just ask. You're not demanding. It's not like, hey, I'm going to give you this, and in exchange, you have to give me this. It's more of you just asking. So with reciprocity, the example that he gives in the book, and I haven't read this book in probably a year, so if I'm a little bit off, that's why. So if you read the book, don't be like, well, Logan got it wrong. But either way, what he talks about in the book is he's got two different, I guess, examples or studies where he walks into a room. It's a waiting room, and he sits down next to the person. And in the first one, he just asks them after a little bit of time, hey, my daughter is running some charitable thing. Would you be willing to donate? And he gets X amount of dollars. Now, in the second study, is he walks in and he just stands up. He says, hey, I'm going to get a Coke. I'm going to grab you one. He grabs him a Coke, gives the person a Coke, and then sits back down. And then later on, 10 minutes after, he says, oh, by the way, my daughter's running a charitable event. Would you be willing to donate?
He's obligated to do it now.
Yes. And he said every single time the actual correlation between the amount of money he spent on the Coke versus what they donated was like, it was way different. It wasn't like he got them like $1 Coke and then they ended up donating like $1 more than the other group. They ended up donating so much more.
Yeah. Wow.
Have you ever seen the Office episode where Dwight and Dwight and Andy, where they keep one-upping each other for like the favors?
Yeah.
Because neither of them wants to. Well, Dwight wants to do it for like strategic
personal gain.
Yeah, exactly. But Andy's like, well, I'll never let somebody out.
I've never gone. Yeah, it's something like I've never gone
in the hole for like nice gestures. So they keep going back and forth of like, and I'll get your chair, and they're like, I'll get your chair, and that's kind of how humans are. Is nobody wants to feel indebted to somebody else. So when in this situation, when you give somebody a Coke, when you then ask later on, like, hey, would you be willing to donate? They don't want to just give like $1. Like they feel like they owe you big time, especially because you gave without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
And then you later on asked. they're going to give a lot more.
Yeah, it's almost like when you go to a big city or whatever, and you get stopped by a homeless person. You know, as soon as you stop, you have to give them money.
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
point, because you're giving them your time, and they're like, oh, well, while you're here, can I have $1 or something? I'm hungry, you know, stuff like that.
So this happens with people who are trying to sell their mixtapes. So if you're walking in LA, actually any like city, somebody's going to walk up to you and say, hey, I'd like to give you my mixtape, which is, for those out there, it's, you know, their own homemade rap CD, hip hop CD.
Yeah.
So what they do is they go, oh, I'm going to give you my mixtape. And then you're going to go, oh, no, like, I'm good. And like, no, seriously, you can just have it for free. And then what happens is they give it to you for free and you accept, because what else are you going to do? They then ask for donations. You know, hey, I'm not selling this to you. Would you be willing to donate? And then what are you going to say at that point?
Yeah, you're like, oh, no. I've had a person come up to me like a gas station, and I'd be like, oh, man, I'm not really interested. Because it's like, oh, it's $5. They give me actual price of what they want. And I'm like, I don't got $5, but I'll donate like $3 to you. And they're like, oh, cool. And like, that's it. It gets them off your back. Like, because you don't have to actually take their CD from them. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like, once you get it in your hands, they're going to want it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so they're giving first, but like everybody knows the game, because what used to happen was there's this group, again in the book, called the Maharaja, and what they would do is that they would ask for donations. That's how they like survived, was just on donations. Well, as society progressed and didn't wear as conservative clothing, but the Maharaja had to, then society was uncomfortable with these people because they didn't look like the rest of society. So what the Maharaja had to do was they would go to the airports and they would actually pass out roses to people and just say, you know, hope you're having a great day, take a rose. And then at the end of it, somebody would say, hey, would you donate? And the person's like, okay. So what they actually had this pretty cool game where the first person in the line would give you a rose for free, and then down the way, somebody would ask for a donation. They'd take the donation, and then they would send somebody every so often over to like the trash can down the way and go collect all the roses, because people would just take the rose, throw it away because they're about to get on an airplane. Yeah. So they're literally just recycling the same rose over and over and over.
I've heard about that. Yeah. It's pretty smart.
So eventually the airport actually had to like
crack down on
that. They cracked down on it, and then they also made like announcements saying like, do not accept rose. And I don't think they said like don't accept roses from these specific people, but they said like don't accept other things. So it's the reciprocity thing. So the way that we use this in marketing and stuff is a lot of times what you'll see if you go to any one of our clients' websites or our websites and stuff like that, we give some piece of value, some piece of helpful information, whether it's an ebook or a helpful video or something like that, in exchange for somebody's name and somebody's email. So what we're doing is we're saying, hey, look, we're going to give you this, this free ebook. It's going to totally help you out. All we ask is your name and your email.
Yeah.
And now what that does is, one, it shows them that we're the expert because we're teaching them something, but also we now have their email or name and email address on a list that we can market to them.
Yeah.
And it does for the marketing side of things. We know that, wow, they're probably interested. So for example, we have like a Facebook ad running that says, hey, remodelers, you want to know how to boost your Facebook posts, effectively? We have a whole video on that. All you got to do is just give us your name and your email. And then what do we do with that? Market to them.
Yeah, retarget.
And we know that those are the people that are interested in Facebook advertising. So for this ContractorGrowthNetwork.com course that teaches all about Facebook advertising for your business, we know that they're likely candidates for it.
Yeah.
But we can't just ask for the email. It's the same way that like, hey, do you want to get on my newsletter? Nobody wants to get on a newsletter.
No.
But when you give something first and then you ask, it's way easier to have people actually fill out that information.
It's also how like newspapers are now doing it, where it's now all online really. So like I know The Athletic, I'll just do it's you have to pay for a subscription to The Athletic, but they'll give you like an article first time you click for free, you type in your email or whatever, and then as soon as you're done with that first free one, they're like, all right, we'll give you like every article from now on, we'll give you like the first like 200 characters, and then you got to pay for it. So
I hate it because they have good articles.
They have very good articles, so it's like, oh, it's tempting. I don't pay for it because I'm like, I'll never pay for news, but it's like, it's very tempting. But it's kind of the way the world's going now.
Smart, yeah. It's the values created after the experience. So with reciprocity, it's all about you give first, then you ask later on.
Yeah.
And this could be with anything. I mean, this could be you're giving up time. It could, I had a buddy in college. I knew after the first time I did it, I knew to never accept anything from him anymore, because it would be like, hey man, like I'm not gonna finish this bag of Skittles. You want it? I'm like, sure. And then a couple days later, he's like, yo dude, could I get a ride to the airport? I'm like, that's an hour away. He's like, yeah, but remember when I gave you those Skittles? And I'm just like,
not the same thing.
Yeah. I'm like, no, dude. So but at first, like I felt obligated like that time, but after that I was like, no, I'm not accepting anything else. So the reciprocity, as long as you're giving first before you ask, mean, we do this with like for example, like with hiring, we talked about this today. We just hired, and the way that we do our hiring process is we make everybody first send in a video of themselves because, I don't want people just to go into an interview with me and then it's a terrible interview and I just wasted a half an hour of my life. So we first make everybody send over a video, and instead of just requiring, hey, please send me over a video, I first get on a video myself and say, hey, so-and-so, thanks for applying. Would you please be willing to send back a video of answering these 4 questions? And because I'm giving them a video of me, it's easier for them to give a video of themselves versus me just saying, please do this.
Yeah.
So
Also match a face as well.
it does a lot of stuff. Yeah,
So-
but you got to give before you take.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the next one down?
We got commitment, I believe.
Commitment. So let's talk about commitment. It's commitment / consistency. So what this means is people they don't like to be wrong. Nobody likes to be wrong. So what they like to do is whichever way that they're starting to act, they like to continue to act in that manner. Meaning, this is why when somebody hires a company and it's a terrible experience, but they know what they're going to get, they've already worked with them, and they don't want to feel like they've made a bad decision, they continue to work with them. So people like to remain consistent in their actions. So I deal with this a lot with like like, hey, like, what are you doing for marketing right now? And they're like, well, I got this company and they totally suck. I haven't gotten a single lead and they're terrible to work with. And I'm like, well, what are you thinking about doing? They're like, well, I've got another 3 months of my contract, so I guess I'll just stick with them, and then figure it out from there. And I'm just like, but it's what's called a sunk cost fallacy, which is you've already spent so much time and effort into them that they don't want to make the switch. Change is hard. Everybody hates change. So people would rather stay with a terrible company than make the move and dive into the quote unquote unknown.
Yeah.
So consistency is big, and commitment, because once people make little commitments to you, they're going to most likely act on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's almost like, you put all this time and energy into something. You don't want to break it just because you're frustrated. So you kind of take a step back and just keep going until eventually it hits like some breaking point. But you know what I mean? It's like a relationship. It's like you always feel bad, you're attracted to other people, but it's not like you're in a commitment though. So you're
Not me.
like, yeah,
Audrey.
No, not me, either, Jesse. No, not me. But yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So and it's you want to continue with what you're doing, and the way that this works is what we have is called like a foot in the door offer. So what we're doing with a lot of our clients is instead of coming in and like, going, hey, you should sell this $75,000 project, it's get in there with a smaller price point option. So for example, the time that we're recording this, it's early November, and we got in 4 weeks, Thanksgiving. Now, is somebody going to try to start in their home a full kitchen remodel before Thanksgiving with a few weeks to go? No, probably not. No. But if we can get our clients in there for smaller work, such as, hey, we'll get in your house and we'll touch up anything that you want for a full day for X amount of money before Thanksgiving. And it could be like, painting streaks on the walls or fixing little things here or there. Because the person has already hired you once, they're way more likely to hire you again. And because they've already experienced what it's like to work with you, when it is time for them to remodel their kitchen, who are they going to go to? You. Because people want to remain consistent with the way that they act. So for us, that's why I love promotional offers.
Yeah.
Because I know if I'm going to give you a promotional offer and you accept it, well, then when it comes time to doing more work, who are you going to go with? Us. So that is why promo offers work, because people love to remain consistent with themselves, because it's part they already know what they're going to get, and part they don't want to face that they messed up. This is also another reason why referrals are so big, because referrals work because people now get off their butt, because now there's an accountability aspect of it. So if I said, Alex, who does your health insurance or whatever? And then you'd go, this is to do with my health insurance. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then next time I see you, you're going to go, hey, did you ever call up that person? And I'm going to go, oh, no, I didn't. But I want to remain consistent by showing you that I want to take action. And then when you ask me, like, I feel bad, so I have to continue to act consistently with where I'm going.
Yeah, so it's almost like commitment's more commitment and consistency.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it's like, how many times have you bought something? So I I'm just recently switching more into I buy online, get it shipped. I used to always want to go to like the mall or something to buy like shoes or anything like that because I want to try them on and all do all that. So I just bought a pair of shoes that off an Instagram ad actually.
Okay.
And so I got them yesterday, and they're a little too big, but I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I went to the gym with them, and they're the most uncomfortable shoes ever. And I'm like, this is why I don't buy shoes out of my comfort zone or consistency. Like I always go over to the store and do it, but the one time I don't, they got to be the most expensive shoes I own probably. And I got them online. And now that's it. It's a horrible experience for that company, even though they could probably have better shoes out there. I probably won't buy again because I had a bad experience the first time. And it's like the consistency of me buying, I went off of that, and now I'm like scarred for life about it.
So now, yeah, exactly. So now you have this built-up mindset of, I don't ever want to use that. Like, I'll never buy shoes online again.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're gonna now, yeah, okay. Yep.
So if like someone was gonna come and sell me over the phone, like, listen, I could send you these pair of shoes today,
like, nah,
I'd
man.
have that bad experience, and I'm like, no, I went out of my comfort zone once. It was a bad deal. I'm not gonna do it again.
Yep, exactly. So it's people, and then you get stuck in your ways. It's the same reason why I'm a big chain restaurant guy. Because
the consistency.
I know exactly what I'm gonna get.
Chick-fil-A,
so
you never had a bad sandwich.
Never had one. So yeah. So guys, when you're doing this stuff, this is why what's also called like in the marketing world like upsells work. So like, you know, oh, by the way, while you're already doing this and buying this, what if you just upgrade it a little bit more? And it's way easier because people are like, they're already in the mindset of taking action. So if you can continue to make them take action or convince them to take action, they're going to do it because they want to be consistent with themselves. So again, how do you do this in your own business? Promotional offers work because you're going to get people in your wheelhouse, in your world. And then from there, when you offer other services that they can buy, well, they're already mentally in a buying mode. They're going to continue. Yeah. So promotional offers will get you in there because you got to get in there first before you can start to really, you know, do all the other stuff.
Yeah, if the shoes were half off, it would have been like a moot point. Like I'd be like, yeah, you know,
yeah,
I got half off, but you know, they weren't. So definitely do promotional offer.
Cool. So let's move on to the next one is social proof. So social proof, what is this to you, Alex?
So social proof, as we've preached on previous podcasts, a lot of like, you know, 5-star reviews on Google and like people like this, and it's like the consistency of other people, you know, seeing the same thing over and over again that, you know, either positively affects your service or negatively affects your service. But what Caudini, if I said it right, he used an example of it's like your coworkers when they're leaving work, if they stay later at work past 5 o'clock, I'll say, you're more entitled to stay past it because you don't want to be the first one to leave. And that happens in our office too. We just, you know, everyone has like kind of a later mindset to working. So I totally see it resonates with me. It's almost like you're surrounded by your environment. You don't want to be like
you don't want to go against. Yeah, you don't want to be the salmon swimming up the stream when everybody's going down.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for me, social proof is like going either, you know, what's the norm? Like going with the norm almost.
Societal norms are huge because that's what people really want. They want to fit in. Like people have a yearning to fit in. So with social proof, what this does is this helps validate your own decisions. So what you're going to do is you're like, well, I kind of want to hire this company. And then you see that they have 100 reviews. And then that's validating your decision because you're like, well, it's good enough for these 100 people. It must be good enough for me.
Also to like actually get reviews, like get 100 reviews compared to most companies have like 4 or 5. That's like, yeah. They felt strong enough to actually do a review.
Exactly. So the social aspect of all this, people just want to fit in. And the crazy thing is like, I've never once said to you guys, hey, do you guys want to stay later and work? It literally just like, it just starts to happen. And then little by little, and realistically, I mean, you like even before everybody else was in here, you started working late, and then Melissa and Laura came in, and then now it's just like that's just what we do. Like there is no like if somebody leaves at 5, I'm just like, wow, really?
They must have had a short day.
Yeah, like wow, like, yeah, exactly. So it's funny because like I've literally never said a single thing, but it just works. So
I remember the first day it was like, oh yeah, you can work 9 to 5, or if you want to work 8 to 4, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's the hours. But it's like, you know, there, and it's a lot to do with the person too.
Yeah.
But I think it's if everyone started leaving at 5,
then
everyone would leave at 5.
Yep.
So.
Yep, exactly. So social proof is big, guys, and we use this a lot on websites and stuff because it's like, you know, if you've got a lot of reviews and you've got a lot of testimonials and you've got people singing your praises, show that because it's the neighborhood effect. If it's good enough for your neighbor, then it's good enough for you because that's how people, like the easiest way to say it is like, you know, if I see you in my neighborhood, like let's say if I'm a homeowner and there's a contractor working over a couple doors down, then that's social proof that like this contractor is good enough for this neighborhood because somebody else is already using them. So why would I go against the norm and use somebody else?
I was just about to use that example.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, but you see a yard sign and you're like,
Yeah.
Especially I grew up in like a cookie cutter development. So if like you all pretty much have the same house, so it's like, oh, they're using them. Well, they must be good enough for me. Same with landscapers and stuff like that. So they usually have the same. They usually do house after house after house in those type of neighborhoods because if they're good enough for you, they're good enough for me then. So it's almost like competitiveness too.
It is. It's like social proof morphed right into consistency. You want to act the same as somebody else is doing it. So it really is just like So how do you do social proof? You put testimonials up on your website. You don't blow it out of the water, but we always put about 3 testimonials up on sites, and it just kind of validates it. Like we had one of the clients when we built their website. It was kitchen cabinet page, and the page walked the person through the process, the homeowner through the process, and then below it, the testimonial, we had a couple testimonials on that page. It talked about, I loved having so-and-so paint my kitchen cabinets. It worked because of this, this, and this. It was an awesome process. And then when he was trying to sell somebody on the kitchen cabinets, I remember he forwarded me the email and it said like, hey, that page was super helpful. Plus the review below it outlined exactly what we wanted.
Perfect.
So it was somebody else was literally just singing your praises. So when people are already thinking, well, I really want to go with them, and then they see that other people have already worked with you and know, like, and trust you, then that social proof of all this just helps kind of close the deal, if you will.
Yeah, no one likes to be the lone outlier.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's social proof. So the number 4 is going to be authority. And what authority really means is this is where you step in as the pro. Now, this is tough because sometimes there is a fine line. Now, we all look at doctors as like the most like authoritative figure out there. We all we sing the praises of doctors and stuff because, they know what they're doing. They are medical experts and stuff that we have no idea.
Highest form of schooling too.
Yeah, exactly. So when we look at or we watch the show like the doctors and they bring up like issues, like we just assume that whatever they say is like 100% factual and we have to do what they say. I mean, how many times do you go to the doctor and he goes, well, I think you have this, this, and this. And you're like, nah, man, I don't think so.
Nah, you're full of shit.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, never. You feel 100% confident in what the doctor says is wrong with you.
Correct. And this is a lot of times why celebrity endorsements work. Because if this works for Shaquille O'Neal with his bare back and body, why would it not work for you? Shaq he's a freaking NBA player.
Yeah. Right?
Like he's got to have back pain, and mine's just from sitting at a desk all day, but his is from like actually playing basketball like his whole life. Like, if Shaq says this is good enough for him, then why would it not be good enough for me?
Yeah. He's literally revitalized the Papa John's franchise after whatever they were going with. Now he's on the board.
Is he really?
Yeah. He owns a lot. He was they just put out a new commercial with him. I think it's like the first wave. But they're like restoring the brand because now Shaq is like the face of the brand now, not Papa John, not Peyton Manning. It's just Shaq, and he's like board member, and he's like going around to different pizza places. But it's exactly what you think, like, just that like Shaq has that big authority. He's 7'3" or whatever. Like his celebrity endorsement means a lot to people.
A lot. So the way that this works in our world is we like to put up there, like sometimes when you go on like different sites, they'll say like featured on Forbes, featured on this magazine, featured on Fox News, that kind of stuff. And the idea is that Forbes is the authority in anything money or finance related.
Yeah.
Fox News is anything on the conservative side of things, or it's a news station, so it's got authority aspect or authority or authoritativeness to it. Sorry. So what we do with our clients is we go, okay, great. Have you ever done work for a commercial client that people will know? And they go, actually, yes, we have. And we say, great. Could you talk to them and see if we can get them a form filled out to use their logos? Because just like with that social proof, if somebody trusts, let's say, a hospital up the road, and that hospital trusts one of our clients to do all their painting, then if A equals B, B equals C, then A equals C. So that's where the authority comes in as, if somebody, this is exactly why if you're in like the plumbing or locksmith or those spaces, you've got these Google lead ads, which are not the same thing as Google ads, but now it says that, hey, this person has been Google verified. Those are pretty high quality level of leads because people trust Google because of just who Google is. So if Google says, hey, look, we've verified this contractor, they're good to go, then the homeowners can be like, okay, good, I'm in, let's do it.
Yeah.
because of the authority side of things. So authority works. You guys can do this where if you have commercial clients that you've done work for, talk to them, see if you can put their logos up on your website, because again, especially if people know them in the area, it's a lot easier to sell your stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot more trustworthy that you're like, oh, I know that company, put that together, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So cool. Number 5 is going to be liking. You buy from those that you like. What we talk about is the idea that people don't hire businesses, people hire people. And this was brought to my attention like pretty in depth, where there's this book called like Marketing Revolution, and it talks about with automation these days, it's now swinging back to all about customer service and how you want to do business with people that you truly enjoy. This is why when you have a friend that has like a service, like you're more likely to hire them because you like them. So with this Marketing Revolution book, they talk about what are us millennials more likely to buy. Dove soap for 75 cents or some farmer's market soap of some person that you know for $15. It's a $15 bar of soap. And it's a bar of soap. So at the end of the day, it's like, one is 75 cents, one's $15. It gets you the same amount of clean, but you're willing to spend that because of that person's why.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, we're a small local business and you'd be helping out our family and you like them. So when it comes time to y'all's business, when you use these About Us pages, there needs to be a connection into why do you do what you do? Because when I talk to clients, and I'm like, well, let me ask you, why do you run this business? And they said, well, the money is great.
Yeah. Who's going to resonate with that?
Yeah. Like who is going to read that and go, you know what? I love people getting rich off me.
Yeah.
So you need to give them the why behind it. And trust me, I can always get to the why. Because it's like, well, I like the money. I'm like, okay, well then if you like the money, why don't you just go off to Wall Street and do finance? Like, well, I like building things. I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Like, what do you like? What specifically about building things do you like? Well, I like using my hands. Okay, well, what about your hands? Well, I like to create this, so you can kind of dig down into the why and pull that out. And when people read that, because your About Us page is actually one of the most popular pages on your website, which we teach you all about in
the Contractor Growth Network Blueprint.
There you go. CGN, contractorgrowthnetwork.com. But we talk all about that in that course because your About Us page is all about you. Because think about it, a homeowner is about to invite a contractor into their home where they live, where their kids live, and they have no idea who this person is. So if they can go on your website and read up and on your social media see all about you, you're a funny person, like you have some personality, you've got a family behind you, and they feel like they like you, then they're going to trust you. And if they trust you, they're going to hire you.
Yeah. Why are you going to trust someone that looks sketchy? Or why are you going to hire someone that looks sketchy? You're not going to trust them.
Unless they have like super cheap, which is like what happens most of the time. I mean, a lot of contractors are like, well, I do really good work. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody's seen your face. Like they know nothing about you. So you're just a product.
Yeah.
But until you can become a consultant by showing you like what your ability is, I mean, so it really all comes down to, so for this aspect, one, on your website, make sure that you're focusing on your why. Like, why do you do what you do so people can build some rapport behind that, but also focus on customer service. That's how we are here at Full Sail. I mean, we're solid at marketing. We're even better at customer service because when we work together, we want you to feel good about working with us. And when that happens, you're more likely to stay consistent to what you're already doing.
It's real integrity, not just sales integrity. Anyone can just, BS it, but you have to get that sense of it's, no, this is real trustworthy. So
exactly. So the liking aspect is big. So if you have a cool culture, if you have a good reason why that you're doing what you're doing, this is also why people donate to nonprofits and stuff like that, because they like the cause, they like the people that are doing it, and they like the people like what the people stand for that are doing it. So the liking aspect is big.
That's like I think at CVS they're like, do you want to donate $1 to St. Jude's? But if you go to the airport, they'll be like, oh, do you want to donate $5 to for military people? Oh, where's it going? Oh, just military people. I mean, yeah, I want to donate, but I don't know where it's going, so I don't trust it.
Yeah, it has like specific, like get into that why, so people can understand what's behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
And last but not least, this is one of my favorite ones. It's scarcity. So let's talk about scarcity. Scarcity is meaning that something is not going to last forever. And this is big in the promotional offer world. So what you're doing here is you are trying to get somebody to buy from you by saying, hey, look, if you wait too long, it's going to be gone, or it might be gone, or you might miss out, or whatever it is. So by using that, people tap into this mini fight or flight mode, or when you have a promo or a sale or a special or whatever it is, and it's not time bound, saying, hey, you get 10% off, well then what's the incentive to move forward? But if you say, hey, it's 10% off through the end of the week, well, now what they're thinking is, oh shit, I've only got X amount of time left till the end of the week, and then I miss out on this. And it's really like the fear of missing out. Nobody wants to feel like they weren't able to act on something.
Yeah. It's the decisiveness.
Yes.
No one likes to think of themselves as undecisive or indecisive.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, I missed that sale. Damn. And now, and then you're like, oh, you're not going to wait till the next sale's up. You're like, oh, I just, whatever, I'll just do it. I missed it. It's my fault. So.
And people are way more likely to make a bad purchase than not purchase at all, especially if it's too good of an offer for them to refuse.
Yes.
It's the same reason why you got these extreme couponers. The extreme couponers, they're going to go out and buy 79 sticks of deodorant.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's that stinky that you need 79 sticks of deodorant, but because the coupon expires in X amount of time, they have to, deep down, they have to take advantage of it. So when it comes to scarcity, when you guys run these promotional offers, there needs to be an end date. There needs to be a time that says, this is when this is over, whether it's a time thing, or it's a while supplies last, meaning for the first 5 people, whatever it is, add that to it. And it's the same thing as, like, imagine you set a goal, but you set a goal without setting a timeline on it. That's why you like these SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, actionable. Maybe it's repeatable, and then T is time bound. Because if you said, hey, I want to be 180 pounds, well, by when? Oh, just in life. Well, when is that going to be?
Yeah. It's such a wide range that you could do it by the time you're 85.
Whenever, yeah. And then it's just like, well, I'll be dead, and then my body disintegrates, and then I'll be 180. So if you actually have a set timeline on it, a set end date, then you're way more likely to actually follow through and act on it. So with promotional offers, it's the same thing. When you put this on a shot clock, which is why Mark Cuban does this on Shark Tank, where he says, here's my offer, you got 24 seconds, go.
Yeah. It's so you've ever been to a sporting event?
I have.
Yankee Stadium.
I was like, yeah, dude, good question.
Yeah, there you go. And the podcast.
Yeah.
So Yankee Stadium is notorious for this. So during the week, usually games are not in the summertime. There's so many games in baseball. Anyway, there's not the crowds aren't as big as weekends. Obviously, people work; they don't want to go to a game. So what they'll do is, like, Tuesdays, especially, they'll do first 18,000 fans will get this.
A bobblehead.
Yep. They'll make it, sometimes it's 14 and under so they can get like a drawstring backpack or something because they want to entice kids and people to make that Tuesday effort to go to a game.
Yep.
But on Saturday, all fans in attendance because people coming out anyway, here you go. Come back next time,
Right.
So it's the same principle where it's, we're trying to get you in here on a Tuesday. So here's your free gift. Here you go. Enjoy your game.
And if you don't go on Tuesday, then you missed out.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, and especially with kids, oh, I want that bobblehead.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to go Tuesday then.
Yeah, and it's usually some crap. I mean, it's not like,
it breaks when you get home, but it's like.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's where that comes in because it's for the first, and this has to be smart, guys. Like, I've seen stuff where it's like, well, you'll get 10% off up to the first $100. And it's just like, well, that's terrible because you're only making $10 back.
It's like those deals I hate when it's like if you spend $150 in our store, you get 20% off everything else. I'm like, it's a lot of money to still spend. In the store.
Exactly. So it's like you're forcing them, and I get that to a certain extent. But yes, like these things have to be like the time bound aspect of it, but it also has to be like an actual good deal, like something that people what they want to do is they want to move forward with you. Because think about it, like the same thing with the bobbleheads. They give up a little money on the bobbleheads by saying, hey, you have to come here on a Tuesday night and the first 18,000 people, which makes you show up before the first inning. Now, when you're there, you've already made one purchase. You want to be consistent with what you're doing and have a good time. Now you're going to go buy concessions.
Yeah, and most likely you're not tailgating or you're not getting food before because you're coming in to get that item, so you're spending more money on concessions. And you know how expensive ballpark hot dogs and beers are. You know what I mean? So yeah, they keep upselling. It's a bigger payday for them.
It's the amount of psychology that I would say goes into how a movie theater does it, where they don't make their money on tickets. They make their money on the actual food.
$18 popcorn.
Yeah, like the popcorn, I think if you actually look at the pricing, it's like 12. They make like their margin's like 1,200% on popcorn. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And the way that they also price it is super smart, where if you notice, a small popcorn is $4. A medium is $5. A large is $6.
Just get the large for $2 more.
Why would you not?
Yeah.
Consistency. Because people already made the commitment to you, and if they're going to spend, $4 on popcorn, what's another $2?
Yeah, that's like in movie theaters, at least back in New York, they have like the recliners now, so you get a little more luxury, and the tickets are going to cost more, but you're sitting in like a recliner or like a love seat recliner, so it's almost like you're in your living room. So then everything else is inflated to that price because, well, you're sitting in a recliner. Oh, why don't you spend $8 on this Nathan's hot dog?
It's fine.
It's because you got that experience now. It's a higher luxury thing. They've already got you with the ticket, so it's easier.
They did a really cool. They did a study one time where like it was on one of these like Brain Games show, and they had just a small and a large popcorn, and the small was, I think it was like, let's say $3, and the large was like $6. And most people got the small because it's just 3 or 6 and that's it. But then what they did was they added for another group a medium, and the medium was $5.50. So it was $3 for a small, $5.50 for a medium, and $6 for a large. So at that point, nobody wants to be the cheapest. Nobody wants to be the most expensive. So what do? You go for the middle, which is $5.50. But what's only 50 cents more than $5.50? The large.
The large.
Yeah, I mean, like this book has so many cool examples in it. So here's another good one. What happens is when you go to a restaurant and you go to the waiter, you say, I want to order this. And they say, actually, I got something better for you if you're open to that. And they go, okay, great. What is it? And then the waiter tells you something that's a little bit lower price point. This is the reciprocity thing at play. A little bit lower price point. So if you say, I want a steak, and they go, the steak's not that great tonight, may I suggest the fish instead? The steak was $20, the fish is $18, and you go, okay, great, because you didn't realize, or you didn't expect this person to save you money. But then at the end of you ordering, the waiter goes, may I suggest a nice bottle of wine to go with dinner? And then because they just saved you $2, what do you have to do in return? Buy that $40 bottle of wine that they owe you.
It's also like when you get a really good waiter or waitress, and you're more inclined to tip more too. But a lot of restaurants, they get some of the tip too. It's not just all to that guy or girl, but it's like because you had a good experience, they made you feel welcome. All right, we're gonna spend more money now. But it's also, while you were saying that, I was thinking, like if you're not a great salesman, you don't really have to you just have to know these principles, and you can apply them online. Like I know Domino's. Every time I order Domino's, it's always online. They're always given the option, would you like to upgrade medium for $1.50?
Right.
And it's the same principle as the popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Why would you not?
Yeah. So there you go. There's your upsell.
Yeah. Some of these, like other restaurants. So like another thing for restaurants, I love the restaurant stuff because they do a lot of this cool shit. Another thing is wine. When you look at the wine list, generally the cheapest bottle of wine is not the actual cheapest bottle of wine. The second from the bottom is usually the cheapest bottle of wine because nobody wants to buy, like how many times if you see, let's say 3 bottles of wine, one is $10, one's $12, one's $18. Well, you're going to buy the $12 bottle of wine because you don't want to look cheap. But in reality, the $12 bottle of wine cost the restaurant $4, and the $10 bottle of wine cost the restaurant $5. So the restaurant actually makes better margins on the second to the bottom wine because that's just because nobody wants to be the cheapest guy.
Yeah.
That's why like there's a lot of times like there's like the mediums and stuff like that. Like you don't want the lowest, but you also don't want the highest. You want the middle of the road.
Mental.
So if I asked you, Alex, right now, pick a number between 1 and 4. Go.
3.
75% of people choose 3. Have we done this before?
I think so.
Oh,
That
okay.
sounds familiar. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, so that wasn't staged, but like yes, try it, guys. Like 75% of people pick 3. It's like 20% pick 2, and then the remaining 5% is spread out between 1 and 4 because nobody wants to choose. So this is like we do this with our like books that we portfolio books that we do. What we'll do is we'll specifically set it up so that you have it's like the high anchor principles and stuff like that. So God, I love the way that restaurants do things. I could keep going on this stuff, but
Show the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, like what restaurants also do, for example, is if they do it correctly, the way that your eyes read, you read in a Z pattern. So that's the same thing with billboards. So with billboards, people read the top line, then they do a Z, like a
Scan the
a
rest of
zigzag
it.
down to the bottom left, and then they do a cross on the bottom as well. So with that being said, with restaurants, if they're smart, what they'll do is they'll put on the top right corner of their menu, that is where the most expensive items are. Because what happens is you're going to immediately scan to the right, and before you pivot back down to the bottom left, you're going to see the most high price point stuff. And from there, everything else seems cheaper. So that, in the top right, you've got the really expensive filet mignon for $42. Well, that measly piece of salmon that's $31 is now not that expensive because that's the way that your eyes read.
Yeah.
So there's all these different things so when we're creating these, let's say like a showcase portfolio book for clients, what we do is we'll give you we'll say here's your 4 options of quote unquote packages you can have. Here's the first one is going to be a $100,000 package. Here's the second one that's 40 grand. Here's the third one that's 25 grand, and here's the bottom of the barrel one that's 15 grand. And the goal is nobody wants the most bottom of the barrel one, but they can do somewhere in the middle between 25 and 40. So take whatever your average is and have that third option, or the second option in this case, be a little bit higher than that, because that's what people are more likely to go with.
Yeah. I think you like the restaurant style because it has all 6 of these principles.
well,
and it's not really forced.
Dude, it's restaurants, if the smart ones have it figured out, man. What actually has it, what he talks about in the book, and it's funny that you brought this up, was Tupperware parties have it all. The way, I've never been to one, but I know, for example, Audrey went to one where it was you show up and she was like, well, it's like not like makeup, but it's like beauty products. She bought something, and I was like, you're gonna buy something. She said, no, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. You are going to buy something. And then she came back. I said, how was it? She said, I bought something. I said, I know. She said, how'd you know? And then I literally brought up literally the way that these things are set up is it hits on all of these. So when you first go in there, first thing is reciprocity. They give you free samples of stuff. And when they give you free samples, what do you have to do in return? Buy it. The next one, consistency. You've already shown up. You've already started to use the product. Of course, you're going to consistently then buy the product from them. Social proof. Everybody else around you is buying it. Why would you not buy it? The next one is going to be authority. The person there who's running it, it's not like your girlfriend's running it. It's like they bring in an actual rep who's certified in this stuff. So they're the authority of hey, this is what you should buy.
Yeah.
Then the next one is liking. Who's hosting the party? Your friend.
You're having a good time.
Yeah. They don't have these things at a convention center. They have these things at your friend's house. Plus, your friend is making commission on this, and because you like your friend, then you want to help, quote unquote, support them. And last but not least is scarcity. You can only buy this shit today.
Yeah.
So literally, it hits on all 6 things. So I walked Audrey through it. I was like, well, let's talk about this. I was like, reciprocity. I was like, did you get anything for free? She's like, well, yeah, I got free samples when I walked in. I was like, great. Number 2. So we literally went down the list, and it literally hits on all 6 of those things. So when you walk into those, you're walking into the freaking lion's den, man.
Yeah.
So with this stuff, imagine, this is why I'm so big on having these not showrooms, but like the Parade of Pawns days and customer service events. Showcase days. Because imagine if you walk in and the pawn company gives you a little something for free. There's that. Consistency is the next one, which is hey, you already showed up once. Why would you not buy from us? Social proof. Everybody else is there, plus you've got some customers already there. So why would the person not want to move forward with buying from you? Authority. You've been doing this for 19 years. You know what you're talking about. The next one is liking. Be a cool person. Right?
Yeah.
And last but not least is scarcity. Make an offer that day. So if you can nail all 6 of these, you can really run with customer appreciation days where you invite new prospects. You can do teaching days. So if you're a remodeler, you can say, hey, come on in. We'll teach you all about kitchen remodeling, things like that. And if you run with these 6 things, then you will make more sales.
Yeah.
Because this is just how human psychology works.
Yeah. Definitely with the period of showcase days, especially if you give them a meal, lunch or a little something sandwiches, snacks. It's that's the worst feeling in the world. If they're not really interested, then that's the other thing. But it's you don't want to leave there and you're oh, I just kind of got a free meal.
Yeah, you feel terrible about that.
So it's such a great concept, and they, like you said, it hits on all 6 of these.
And this is also why timeshares were blowing up in the 80s because they would get you in with a sweet little offer, and you get this, this, and this, and we give you some free shit, and then you walk out of there with a timeshare. Yeah, man, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because like there's so much just like persuasion that happens that you don't even realize.
Have you ever been the like I don't want to say victim, but like you've been in that circumstance where you've been the customer to this, and you're like, do you like call it out now that you're like, oh, he's using this tactic?
I talked about this with Duncan down the hall where he was like, Logan, have you ever bought something because the Facebook ad was so good? I was like, yeah. I was like, the product is solid, but because the ad is so good, I give it up to him. So with stuff like this, if I see it happening, okay, Billie Jean. I got so much value from that dude just from all the free shit that I was like, I owe it to him to buy his stuff now.
Yeah.
Why would I not? Like, you know, like he's helped me out. Like he's like the principles that he has put out there has helped so much that like even if I get nothing from buying this thing, I owe him.
Yeah, that's like going to like a sporting event. Like I've been to like the NASCAR race at Charlotte, and it's like I will never wear the NASCAR shirts, their merchandise out because they're so, you know, I'm not gonna wear it out. It's not a nice T-shirt, you know. It's just like a gym T-shirt or whatever.
Oh, look at that button now with NASCAR.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but I'll buy it because it's like, I've been a fan my entire life. I owe it to them. Like, here's your merch sales, you know, or like a company or a brand, they sell merch. You know, it's like a favorite YouTube channel. Like, oh yeah, you make great YouTube videos, I'll buy your merch.
Right.
It's like you just, you know,
you gotta give it up to them.
Want to reward them for like they're putting in the hard work. I could buy a $25 T-shirt. Yeah. But yeah, same thing.
No, I love this stuff because it's just. Because I'll see it I'll notice it now. It's like the first time like I really like learned about sales. I can't go into like a sales situation and not mentally pick it apart. Or say with marketing, like I'll watch a commercial, and I'm like, interesting, okay. And the cool thing about this is now like I'll go home and like this is like it's weird to admit this, but like I love watching infomercials.
Oh yeah.
Because infomercials freaking nail it.
Yeah. Well, that's like anything. Like I really got into, like I was in college and really starting to get into like the production side of like TV shows and like just sports shows. I can't watch it the same. Like if I watch a game, I'm a fan of the game, but I'll pick apart I want to listen to the broadcasters because I'm picking apart what they're doing. Yeah. And you just look at it different when you're into something.
It's ridiculous. So no, I love this stuff. So all right, guys. So those are the top 6 persuasion principles that you can use that will get people to buy from you. If you want to learn more about them, it's Robert Cialdini's book. It's like his spelling is like Cialdini. It's like super Italian.
Might be a U in there.
Yeah, or, I don't even know. But it's an old school book. But this is all the stuff that we're talking about in the Contractor Growth Network Blueprint Program, which is at contractorgrowthnetwork.com. How do you apply all 6 of these? Because these have been around. It's just he finally put them into words. How do you apply them into your business and grow it? So one more time, it's reciprocity, commitment, social proof, authority, liking, and my favorite, scarcity.